Welcome to It's a Grand Life, where our mission is to be a voice for grand families and kinship caregivers everywhere. Did you know that in the United States alone, there are 2.3 million grandparents raising their grandchildren? 2.3 million. It's a Grand Life is committed to making a difference for those kids. That's why we have the podcast, a Facebook group, and the Grand Fund. The Grand Fund, which is a 501c3 which was launched in June of 2024, provides financial assistance to grand families, including shelter, food, clothing, and household needs. Grand families are in every neighborhood, in every city, every tribe and territory nationwide. If this is you or someone you love, we're here for you. And we welcome you to join us on this mission. Our goal is to offer hope and resources to help you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. You can also join our Facebook group. Just search for it under It's a Grand Life. And your reviews, comments, and sharing of our podcasts help us reach others that need assistance. Welcome to another episode of It's a Grand Life. Hello, my name is Craig Nash. I would like to welcome you to another It's a Grand Life. And this has been a show that has been in the making, I was just telling our guest, for probably 4 years. This whole idea of talking about working with kids in their identity and helping them find their identity and know how to handle the bullying and all the other issues that go on during the school day, and also some of the challenges of living with us wonderful grandparents. Our guest today on It's a Grand Life is Dawn Rowe. And Dawn, welcome so much to It's a Grand Life. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. It's an honor.
And we're just so intrigued by your background. You are actually teaching this, what you call it, this identity impact in and around your classrooms. You're training others to do this, and your bio says you have a unique gift for connecting with teenagers and helping them discover who they truly are. And, there's a lot of teenagers that are grandkids being raised by their grandparents. So tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to Identity Impact.
Okay, well, I've been a teacher for 37 years and recently stopped doing that so I can do Identity Impact work. But I got introduced to the subject in about 2018 with a camp with youth.
Oh.
And it was amazing. Got to hear Donna and Jamie Winship. Primarily, Jamie was speaking during that week, but 3 times a day for 4 or 5 days. And the information just resonated with me because it put words to what I was doing in my classroom, but it also took it further and gave me greater language and a lot more tools to use so that I could connect with kids so they could find out who they really are. And I taught history and psychology, so this topic of knowing who you are fit really well with my curriculum.
That is absolutely fantastic. And with your heavy psychology background, you also taught AP psychology classes, not just the basic one-on-one stuff.
Right.
So in this arena that we're in, of grandparents raising their grandkids, I have asked some key leaders that are running organizations across the country, what's the number one problem we have as grandparents raising their grandkids? And they all say we need to address behavioral health. And is this idea of identity-based transformation that space that you work in, is that something that could be beneficial to grandparents and the grandkids that they're raising?
Absolutely, because there's just a few tools that come with it. And once you get accustomed to the tools, it'll naturally flow right out of you. So like, for instance, the man I was working with this morning who is in another country, he's applying these concepts more and more. He's meeting somebody for coffee, he's exercising with somebody, and he's listening to their conversation, and he goes, oh, it sounds like you're listening to a lie. And then you teach the person, in this case, the grandchild, how to get rid of the lie, exchange it for a truth, and then move forward into being ready to hear their identity. So it's just a few tools that can be applicable to anybody, anywhere.
And this whole idea of identifying the lies that our grandkids may believe, or even our grandparents, that really keeps, if I'm not mistaken, keeps us locked into a false identity, right? And so what is a false identity, Dawn?
A false identity is simply when you're not being your true self. So I like the way that the Winships teach the world stories. And so you have separation and you have connection. So if you're living in separation, you feel like you never have enough or that you're not enough. You want certainty. You know what's going to happen tomorrow, but you know with teenagers, they don't know what's going to happen in the next minute with their emotions, right?
Right.
And they can be upset by things that happened at school or with their friend group or social media. And then sometimes kids are really concerned about perfection, but so are their grandparents. I got to get it right. My own child is struggling, so I got to do right by my grandchild, and I got to get this right. So there's probably a bit of fear going on, and maybe some shame. I don't know. That would be like an individual thing. And then you can get really self-focused. But if you live on the connection side, you're going to realize you're enough.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to realize that love is enough. You're going to realize that mystery is fun. Not knowing what's around the corner is kind of a grand adventure. You're going to realize that it's okay to fail because that's how you learn. And then you're going to be other focused instead of self-focused. So it can apply to the grandparent or the grandchild.
I can see where it fits both, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're in a false identity, you're definitely going to live in that scarcity mindset. But if you're in a connection mindset, you're going to realize there's people, there's resources, there's a way to figure everything out. There's always an answer because you're going to believe in creativity because you're not blocked by fear, guilt, or shame.
And as you work in the classroom setting with your students, and let's say the first time you've never met these folks, hypothetically, how do you break through the ice and make teenagers comfortable with you enough to say what they're afraid of or what they're wrestling with? Or that requires a lot of trust, doesn't it?
You know, that's a really great question. And I'm going to have to say part of that's my identity because it's really easy for me to do. I think the key with that is me being vulnerable with them. So if you don't come across as having it all together and you're explaining that you have some weaknesses too, and you have some fear and you have some guilt and you have some shame, and you work through it as you work through it with the kids, the walls come down really fast. So just last week, I was in a school district out in Oregon, public school district, and they wanted me to help out with a mental health day. So I had 30 minutes per class. And so my goal was to do a little bit of thankfulness because we know that thankfulness rewires the brain. And then I was moving into exchanging the truth for a lie or giving a burden over and exchanging and getting what I need to get through the burden. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, wow, I don't know these kids. I've met a couple of them maybe, but chances are I won't know any of them in the classroom. And it turns out I didn't know any of them all day long, given the groups that I had. And we're just doing thankfulness. Kids are doing that really fast. I explain the brain work behind that. And then we go into exchanging a lie for a truth. I have them close their eyes, picture a place where they're happy, or imagine a place where they're happy. And the kids have good imaginations. They can get there in a matter of seconds. And then I say, okay, I gotta talk about love a little bit, or truth. Like in the case of these guys, I was using the word love. I was using love, and I said, picture love. What does love mean to you? I like to think of it as somebody who has spoken life over me. A coach. I had an awesome coach in high school. Parents, grandparents, mentors, youth workers. A lot of times it's teachers, to be honest with you. Somebody that has said something good about you in your past. And those kids think, and that's love to them. So now they're in their quiet place. They're kind of have their eyes closed. Little awkward, but they do it because I'm doing it with them. And then I'm like, all right, imagine your safe, happy place. Invite love into that space. Now give love your burden give love your lie, give love whatever it is that's irritating you today, give it up. And then I stop and I wait a few seconds. Eyes start to pop open. I'm like, okay, who's willing to share what love did with your burden or your lie? And man, I tell you what, there's always one brave kid. One brave kid goes, right here. He sat in the front. I'm like, all right, what happened? Love tore it up. I'm like, perfect. Another kid, boom, love threw it in a river. Boom, love stomped on it. And it was just around the room quickly like that. And another kid said, love held it. Now that person was giving over an emotion that was true, like sorrow, and needed comfort. So, love was just kind of holding it. Love didn't toss it, but love held it. Then after I do that, I just say, okay, now go back into that quiet place. Picture yourself in your happy place. Invite love in again. And what's the exchange love has given you? You've handed it to love, or you've handed it to truth. What's the truth you're going to get back? Once again, boom. And I'm telling you, in the 7th and 8th graders that I worked with, it just zipped around the room. 25 kids, they're all sharing what they got in exchange.
Amazing.
I didn't ask them to necessarily share what their burden was, but what did you receive?
Okay.
And then that lays the groundwork for going into identity.
And Dawn, did you say that you met these folks one time? This is the first time you met them?
And I had 30 minutes.
And you had 30 minutes, and you're going around the room with 25 middle schoolers, and you are setting the table for them, finding out what their true identity is, getting rid of any lies that they believe that are not true, that are holding them back, any fears, any guilt, any shame. And that's amazing. And so that's your first meeting with them, right? Do you have subsequent meetings with these same students or no?
I will if the teachers invite me into their classrooms, so I'm more than willing to do that. It's part of my contract. If they want to use me in that way, I can certainly go into their classroom. One of the things I'm doing out in this school district is I'm training the teachers once a month. And so I repeatedly go back and I go over these tools with the teachers so they get really comfortable, because you can't give what you don't have.
Right.
They have to get comfortable. Yeah. And I didn't even know that you could do these concepts that quickly. Like, I did not know that we were going to get through identity in 30 minutes. I put it on my slideshow thinking, oh, there's no way we'll get to that, but I'll throw it up there just in case. And the little junior high kids, they were just so engaged and so with me that it went quick. And then we were able to get into their identities too. So you just never know what can happen.
Well, as you're talking to a classroom of kids, especially these kids that you've never met before, but are they able to share with you the negative thoughts that they have and the negative things they believe? They're not good enough, they're not smart enough, or anything like that kind of promotes this?
Well, yeah, when I'm a teacher, that's definitely happening. When I'm a guest speaker, that might not be appropriate. So I have to kind of read the room and decide if that's okay. So if I feel comfortable with a student who I think is comfortable, I can say to them, hey, would you mind sharing what your lie was? No pressure, but do you want to share your lie? Yeah, I really am struggling in school right now. I have like 2 D's and an F, so I feel behind, overwhelmed. Okay, great. What did love give you in return? I have enough time. There's still a lot of time left in the semester, and I have people I need to reach out to. I just need to do that.
So love told that student those things.
Yeah, you don't ever want to put anything in their head. You let them hear on their own. My friend the other day, this is a really good story. She was working with 2nd graders, and this little girl came in from recess. Hopefully I'll tell this story right. The 2nd grader came in from recess pretty upset. Becca was like, what's going on? And the little girl said, I feel like a bad friend. My friends ran away from me at recess. So therefore I'm a bad friend. And so Becca said, well, do you think that's true? And the little girl said, yes. Now in Becca's mind, Becca's thinking that's not true. But that little girl in that moment, she's like, it's true. So Becca said, well, let's just ask Love. So the little girl closed, because they've done this practice in the second grade room. The little girl closed her eyes and Love told her, guess what Love told her? She's a great listener. And Becca said, "Oh, well, how does that relate to you back on the playground?" She goes, "Oh, well, I know I'm a good friend because I'm a good listener, and they were just playing. It had nothing to do with me." And so then that angst that she had was resolved in a 2-minute period. And she left knowing she's a good friend, and she heard an identity that I'm a great listener. That's a second grader.
That's so fantastic. And it just,
Yeah.
have, Dawn Rowe, have you seen with the students that you've been working with that this can tend to regulate some of their
Oh,
emotions?
yeah. Oh,
And could you talk about that for a minute? Because that's really
yeah.
powerful.
Okay, here's another one. Okay, I'm going to go back to second grade with this one. Once again, it's my friend Becca. This is such a powerful story also. So she got a little boy last year who was in foster care. And he has a good foster care family, but he was a lot of days of dysregulation in first grade. He was considered a high flyer, meaning that he would run, try to get out of the school. He
Okay.
was hardly coming to school as a first grader. So he clearly didn't like school very much, felt like a failure. And so when Becca had him, he came every day and he came full days. In first grade, he came half days. Now, why did he come all day, every day? Well, there's a lot of factors that play into that. Obviously, the foster home, but obviously what Becca was doing in her classroom, which was the emotional regulation. So she worked with the whole class all the time. Okay, we're going to talk about emotions. So she got him familiar with emotions. Where do you feel it in your body? I feel it in my chest. I feel it in my shoulders. I feel it in my tummy. Okay, what's a burden you have today? My friend cut in front of me at lunch. I felt like I wasn't seen. Okay, what's the truth about that? Where are you feeling it? I feel it in my stomach. They don't care about me. And she teaches the kids to get rid of that negative emotion so they don't build a vow. Because the vow would be, okay, somebody cut in front of me, therefore nobody cares for me. I'm not seen. I'm not valued. And that's the lie that begins, okay?
Right.
With this little boy, he was believing that he couldn't do hard things and he wasn't a good learner. And as time went on, he'd get frustrated and Becca could say, okay, let's take it to Love. And he could reply with, this was one of his mantras that he used throughout the year, I can do hard things. So one day in particular, they were cutting snowflakes for winter time to decorate the room. And he was struggling and he got really frustrated. And then she just sat with him for a second, pull up a chair next to him. How you feeling right now? I'm frustrated. What's the deal? I can't cut these snowflakes. It's really difficult for me. Okay, what does Love say? Closes his eyes. Love says I should be having a good time with this. I should be having fun. Okay. So do you have to cut a perfect snowflake? No, you don't. There is no such thing as a perfect snowflake. They're all unique like you are. And that little boy had a very successful year, and his mom is so grateful for the fact that Becca helped him regulate his emotions, because now the mom is gleaning ideas how to do this at home.
That was going to be my next question. Can Becca transfer that to the home setting? And that's starting to, because I would imagine, especially foster moms, and we know a number of foster moms in the arena that we're in. I would think this would be, invaluable to be able to sit down with your kids and walk through these hyper emotions at times, and then help them get peace and come to some contentment and that is starting to happen.
Yeah, and at the high school level, I remember one day, and specifically these girls came in. Well, I have two stories actually. The first story, fun group of girls, they sat in the back of the room and they came in and I could hear them talking. And one girl was calling out the other girl saying, you're not walking in your true self today, saying it like that, teasing her, and you're gossiping right now. That's not who you are. And they were giggling back there. But the truth of the matter is with that language, they were able to get their friend to line up back into the truth of who she was. I didn't have to do anything. I just kind of watched it happen. But I remember another time where some kids were in my room, and this is kind of a typical teenage thing, I'm afraid, but we had a couple girls in the room that were really good friends, and there was a guy in the room, and they were all friends. But one of the girls and that young man, wait a second. No, the boy was not in the room, but these two girls were friends with him, and the one girl was dating that boy. Okay. Then as time went on, there's a breakup, and now that other girl, girl two, is now hanging with that boy. So I saw the tension in the room, and I'm like, oh man, I want these guys to walk in their true self. I don't want them to create drama in my classroom. So there's a diagram the Winships have that talk about self-protection and self-promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those are the two titles. Self-protecting is a lot of defense mechanisms. Self-promotion is where I'm better than you, and you're jockeying for position, and you might bully people because you want to feel better than somebody else. Well, down the middle of that diagram are all kinds of words like jockeying for position,
Mm-hmm.
competition, backstabbing, gossip, those kinds of words. And so I'll just slap that up on the screen so the kids see it, project it, and they look at it, and I'm like, all right, you guys feeling any of this today? Well, every one of us got one of those words.
Right.
Because one of them's fearful. So then I just go, okay, we're going to truth tell. So I want you to write down what you're feeling. They write it down. All right, I want you to get in your quiet, happy place. Okay, we're there. Invite love in. Give that feeling, that emotion, that problem, whatever it is, give it over to love. What does love do with it? Okay. And then you get the exchange. What does love give you in return? Okay, my friend talked smack about me today. It really hurt my feelings. All right, what does love tell you? My friend's having a bad day, and my friend felt safe enough to lash out at me because my friend knew that I would love them no matter what. Okay.
Wow.
If that's the case, then can you go back to your friend and say, hey, you hurt me today. Let's talk about it. So that's an idea of what could happen if kids get well versed in this material.
I just absolutely love that. So they go back and they clean up the mess they created. And it's that emotional mess or whatever it was. That's just,
Yeah.
Now I want to, Dawn, right now you're speaking to a lot of grandparents who are raising their grandkids across the country. And,
Yep.
I'm part of an organization called Generations United, and they have grand voices. Those are grandparents raising their grandkids from every state. And we have meetings monthly to talk about how we could benefit our kids and also, advocate for support for grand families. But do you think that this identity impact is something that we could bring to these grandparent organizations across the country and help the grandparents get the coping skills to deal with fearful, shame-based, negative thinking?
Yeah.
And learn how to do the process you're just talking about, going to their favorite place, exchanging that with love and watching what love gives them. And could we help them be able to train their grandkids on how to have these same skills as well? Is that something you think that could happen maybe in one or two spots first and then maybe go nationwide with something like this?
Oh, absolutely. You could have like a 5-hour training. That's usually how long it takes, because when I do the training, you're going through the activities. So you got to be prepared to be vulnerable. You got to be prepared that you might cry a little bit, and that's okay. And you make the exchanges. You understand how everything works so that you get comfortable. So that can be like a 5-hour session.
Okay.
And then after that, you could easily have coaching sessions with me or somebody else on the team.
Okay.
So if the grandparent was stuck, like, wow, I'm really not comfortable with this yet, then we could meet online. Like at the school district I'm working at,
Mm-hmm.
those teachers can get a hold of me and I can walk them through lessons. I also work with mentors in that school district. These are retired people that are 65, well, about 60 and older.
Hmm.
They are working with the kids that are struggling the most in the school. So I just have a little Zoom session with them the night before they actually go in and work with the kids
It's
so
awesome.
that they get comfortable in it, because you are going to feel a little bit nervous because obviously you're stretching, but you don't grow unless you stretch.
Right.
So even myself, when I go do these activities, yeah, it starts to flow out of me easily, but I've also practiced it since 2019.
Right.
I got the training in 2019 and then I got more training last April, but I also have listened to every YouTube, every podcast, everything I can get my hands on the websites. I've gotten a hold of curriculum, and for your grandparents, the class that they'd want to take is Identity Masterclass. Okay? And that one is found on Identity Impact website. So Identity Masterclass on the Identity Impact website. And that would be a tremendous resource to get them accustomed to the concepts.
That is a great idea, and we'll have that information at the bottom of the screen when we get when our producer finishes up with this. But that would be very exciting because we've got some wonderful grandparents that we're working with, a number of relatives that are stepping in as guardians of a lot of these grandkids, and all the grandkids that I'm aware of that are in this situation are dealing with some fear-based thinking and some negativity, and there's been a little trauma along the way. And
Yeah.
this identity impact method, I know it could address all those things. I've seen it in my own family with my granddaughter, and but this, I don't think we can really help these grandparents to understand the impact on the emotions for middle schoolers and teenagers. It's how that levels out is just absolutely amazing. But once they're trained
Yeah.
with this type of training, and so you're thinking it's a 5 hour orientation, if you will, and then there's individual coaching sessions after that. And this could be something, Dawn, perhaps with the head of a organization. I've worked with a number of folks. There's a lady in Texas I'm thinking of that works with 4 or 5 different offices in the Texas area. It's called Texas Grandparents Raising Grandkids. But if the executive director was trained in this, she could take this to the rest of the organization and help the
Yeah.
whole state come to this.
That's how the Winships like to deal with things, is you start at the top because then the trickle down is a lot better.
Yep.
So when we went into the school district in Oregon, you start with the superintendent and then they get on board with it and then it trickles down to the teachers. So it's just best. I mean, the Winships did that too when they worked in the Mideast with terrorists. You go after the head honcho. Let's get that person to know their identity and let's get some terrorism to stop. Pretty powerful.
And it
So
worked.
we can stop bullying. I think we can stop some bullying, So for example, you can, when you know who you are, let's say I'm a teenager and I'm walking through the schools and I'm walking confidently, there's going to be people that are jealous of me. Now, I've had that happen as a teacher, people that are jealous of me. But when they act out towards me, I'm not going to hold a grudge. I might be upset in the beginning, like, man, why did you do that again? And then I understand how love sees them. And I understand that they're in their false self. I don't need to pop out of my true self and go into my false self and then get vindictive and mean and unforgiving.
Yeah.
I need to try to stay in my true self so that I can help them get into their true self, or at least model it if I never have an opportunity to say anything to them. Yeah.
That's
So
absolutely.
students walking around in confidence like that could change a school's entire dynamic, because the kids will start holding each other accountable.
Amazing. So this,
Yeah.
you could start with a handful of kids, and this could trickle through the whole school.
For sure. Becca is just one teacher, and so she did her second grade class. Now they're third graders. If what would be great is if her principal got involved and there was a training for the whole school. But right now, she's that one teacher in one school, and there's a lot of teachers out throughout the nation that are trying these things. But once again, start higher up, you're going to get more effect, more ripple.
That is so terrific. Do you have any parting thoughts that you want to share with our listeners in case I don't want to leave anything out that you want to share?
Well, just know that it's your identity. We're all born with identity that's within us. And identity changes in seasons. Now, grandparents probably never thought they'd be raising their grandkids.
Never. Right.
That's a hard, hard gig. Wow. My heart goes out to you guys. Here's the deal, though. You have enough. You are enough. And there's gold inside of you that your grandkids need.
Yes.
And there's gold inside your grandkids that you need. So once you start to realize the beauty in one another, it levels the playing field. And if you're vulnerable, they're going to be vulnerable. If you come at them with harsh discipline, that's just extrinsic and it's probably not going to have a huge transformation. Yeah, there has to be penalties at times for ridiculous choices a teen might make. I'm not saying don't do that. But while they're struggling, go through with them and pull out the gold. I think I should probably tell one more story. Is there time?
Yes, there is. Yep.
Okay, so I had just learned the identity concepts and I had a sophomore history class and these boys came in on the first day of school and I saw who I had and I went, okay, all right. And one of the principals popped in and she pulled me outside and she said, do you realize who you have in your class? And I said, yes, I do. I saw them at lunch last year. And keep in mind, this is a school of 1,600.
Wow.
There are many other teachers that teach history.
Yes.
But for some reason, I got all these turkeys. Okay. Same day, another principal walks in. Says, Dawn, takes me outside. Dawn, do you realize who's in your room? He was the dean, so he was in charge of discipline. I'm like, yep, I know. And then the next day, the security guard walks in. She just walks up to me and whispers in my ear, do you realize who you have? Yeah, I know. So I was like, wow, okay, these kids are gonna need, they're gonna need what I have. And I got to figure out how to give it. But at the same time, I got to figure out the beauty that they have because we need it. And I was like, wow, I am not seeing it. I saw a good sense of humor, so I could use my humor to kind of control the class. And keep in mind, this half of the class is the sweetest little girls you'll ever meet. And then you have this group of boys that are just crazy little buggers. And they're sophomores, and I'm like, there's got to be some good, right? Well, as time went on, it took a few weeks. This did not happen overnight. And I started to see a character that was good on occasion. And so one day I said, hey, can you two boys, kind of the ringleaders in that classroom, can you stay after? I have prep period next period. They're like, yeah, we don't want to go to science. They both had the same science teacher. Okay, that's also very odd in a school of 1,600. So I called the teacher. Hey, can I keep these boys? She's like, keep them as long as you want. Do whatever you can do because, they're just troublemakers. So I kept them. I sat them down in the desks that they had, and I sat across from them, so we're eye level. And by this point, I had pretty good rapport with them through humor, and they were athletic. They were, they're good boys at the core. And I just called out gold. I don't know what I said. I honestly don't remember. But here's what I can tell you. The one boy, they both had Fs. The one boy at the end of the year, so I had him for a full year, got the highest score on the final.
Unbelievable.
And he went from an F, and I think he either got a B or an A by the end of the year. The other boy had an F, and we were grateful he passed, okay, because his circumstances were harder at home, I think, and just his life was a little more difficult. And he was really struggling in all of his classes. So I was grateful that he passed the class. We also celebrated with a party. It's important to celebrate the joys, the wins. So that's the other thing grandparents need to do. And you don't want to do it Yeah, here's a really good thing I got from a psychologist who used to speak in my room. She's a well-known psychologist actually throughout the nation, and she teaches parenting, but she also works with the hardest cases in mental health. So
Okay.
she's probably 65 and amazing. And so she said, Dawn, when you're doing like a reward, don't set it up where it's predictable. Hey, if you have a good week, then on Friday we're going to a movie. Or hey, if we have a good week, Friday you get your phone back. Or if you have a good week, Friday, don't do that. Make it random. Hey, I noticed you had a great 2 days in a row. I appreciate the way you're respecting me. I'm just so grateful that we've had 2 good days. Well, let's go grab a burger. You know,
Yeah,
let's
spontaneous.
have some. Yeah, be spontaneous. It's better. And it keeps the kids excited to know there's hope on the horizon. I just had good 2 days. And the next time I have a couple good days, maybe something else fun will happen. Or maybe in 3 or 4 days, But, they're going to backslide.
Yes.
They're teenagers. You're going to backslide.
Yep.
So you got to have grace for each other. You got to have grace because you're not going to be perfect every day. There's no way. You're going to be exhausted.
Yep.
Some days you're not going to feel good. Some days you're not going to have what it takes. And that's where you really got to lean into a joy memory. Joy is very important. Lean into love. What's a memory that I can hold on to every day that reminds me that love sees me and I'm connected to love? And that might be a memory from 20 years ago.
Right.
That you hold on to, that you felt really good about, that's going to carry you through the moment you're in. That's really difficult. Lead with joy, lead with love, and have a lot of grace. I'm sure you guys know that. Have a lot of grace for yourself and your grandkid.
Well, it never hurts to hear that and to be reminded of that. But Dawn Rowe, from Identity Impact, I want to thank you for being our guest here on It's a Grand Life. You are invited back anytime. That if you want to share a couple new stories or there's some new teaching that the Identity Impact folks are putting together, if you're watching this at home, you can find out more about Identity Impact. It's very easy, www.identityimpact.com. And I'm hoping that we can come together and make this training available for grandparents all over the country. And because I know the impact it's had on my granddaughter's life, and she's now all A's. And after bringing home a report card, where she said, Papa, I'm really stupid. And I said, oh, really? Who told you that? And we had a long discussion over that. And she was told by love that she was strong, smart, and wise. And as a grandparent, there's nothing more you would want your grandchild to hear. And friends, I'm telling you that this method works, and it'll make a tremendous difference in the lives of those you love the most with your whole heart, your grands. And I can't wait to see how this is rolled out across the country. So for more information, identityimpact.com. And ask for Dawn, and she will give you absolutely the nuts and bolts of how to make this happen in your area. Or reach out to us here at It's a Grand Life, because I've had the same training, and we can't wait to see this impact the grand families across the country. But Dawn Rowe, thank you so much for what you're doing and for being our guest here on It's a Grand Life. And I look forward to seeing you on location at one of our partners, our grand family organizations, and we'll just see where this takes us. But thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today for It's a Grand Life. It's a Grand Life provides vital content, regulatory updates, and subject matter experts that are committed to supporting the 2.4 million kids and their caregivers from every neighborhood, every city, every tribe and territory nationwide. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. Every new subscriber and review helps us reach others that need assistance. As caregivers, we are united in purpose. We are driven by hope while providing strength for today and hope for tomorrow. We are truly making a difference while living the grand life. If you have a suggestion for a future episode, please reach out to us. But we'll see you next time for another It's a Grand Life. Thank you for joining us.